Powerhouse, presented by Alliant Energy.
His name, Sean Crusher Crossen, and you would be best off not to mess with this guy.
Unless you want to be drop kicked or like suplexed or something. He was in a wrestling league a few years ago in Minnesota, now has written a book entitled Pro Wrestling Kid Style. We're joined now by the Crusher. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, great to be here.
So what's a clean-cut guy like you doing with wrestling? I thought this was for the guys with the long hair and the makeup and all the rest.
Yeah, but you know, it was 20 years ago too.
So tell us.
So you did wear the makeup.
So tell us your story. How'd you get involved in this?
Well, you know, we just, as kids growing up, we were big fans of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And when the opportunity came about where I could start my own cable television show, I wanted to do a professional wrestling show. And so that's what we did. We just, us kids, we started out kind of as fun and games, but over the course of a couple of years, it got really big.
I was going to say, Sean, you really started from the bottom up. I mean, mattresses?
Yeah, bed mattresses made the ring in the beginning. And when I looked at that stuff back then, I thought, this is not what I want, you know. But over time, we ended up having a professional ring, and that's what I was really after.
So it was kind of, basically just kind of started out as a dream. Did you really think that it would get as big as it got?
Not in the beginning, but I had the goals. I mean, that's what I wanted. I really wanted to get there, and that's what it took, you know, to be able to do it. You have to have the drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the drive back then. I lived, breathed, and sleep the wrestling.
And, you know, so you had the drive in the ring, but also outside the ring to write a book then 20 years down the road.
Yeah, you know, because I look back and I just looked at how us kids, you know, ran our own television show and produced it ourselves and did this whole thing nationwide over cable TV and holding events, and I thought that's quite a story, so I wanted to just share that in a form of a book.
How did you come up with the nickname Crusher? I mean, you also had, let's see here, Jackknife Jacob and Killer Campa. Where did these names come from?
Well, it's always what sounds good, and you know, the shoe fits, Crusher Crossen, it just went. And I was really nothing like the Crusher, who was an old wrestler back then.
I was going to ask if maybe he was a role model or something.
And I really, his style was not mine, but the name fit my name, so that's why I took it.
Sean, what did your parents think of all this at age 14?
I had parents that, you know, what they seen after a while is us kids were staying out of trouble, we were making a TV show, and it was productive, and that's what they seen, and that's why they let me grow with it, and it was trust.
Did you ever almost, like kill yourself out here? I mean, get seriously hurt? I mean, 14, that's a pretty tender age there for that kind of physical punishment.
Well, you know, and then when you see all that backyard wrestling stuff a few years ago, you think that, but that was their intention now and our intention then are two different things. We were trying to put on a show and good sports entertainment where they're just trying to see how much pain they can take. And what we were doing was nothing about violence. It was about working together, you know, to make it look good, just like they do in the big time at the time.
So I would assume that you get compared to, you know, the old Hulk Hogan, you know, that type of WWF stuff. Do you like that comparison?
Yeah, because that was what we were doing back then. And, you know, Hulk Hogan, he was my hero in the 80s. I mean, I would have done anything.
You were a Hulkamaniac.
I was a Hulkamaniac for sure.
So has wrestling kind of gone, I want to say, gone bad maybe? I mean, because a lot of people watch this and it's all raunchy and just, you know.
All I think of is chairs slamming down on the ground. That's what I always see.
Yeah, and then like you said, the raunchiness. You know, wrestling's changed over the last 20 years, and I'm a fan of the older stuff. I'm still a fan, but part of it has went because of what they're doing. You know, all this whole dramatized thing. It used to be where a match would tell a story in the ring, and now it's, you know, outside the ring, behind, down in the corridor, you know, with something that has nothing to do with the wrestling itself, and that kind of takes away from it for me.
Sure.
A little bit.
So what ideas in this book do you think, you know, kind of incorporate your values on this sport? Well,
my values were that the main thing with the book is for kids to understand is that if you have a dream and you want to accomplish something, you know, look what I did. I took something like professional wrestling that should have never worked and made it work and made it successful and for me and us kids. And I want kids to understand that if you have a dream and you want to accomplish something, and adults for that matter. You can really do anything if you put your mind to it, and that's what this book's all about. That's the message in the book. You don't even have to be a fan of wrestling to really enjoy that book.
Just an outstanding message there. Now, people can actually meet you Friday in Rothschild, correct?
That's right. I'll be at Book World in Rothschild at the Shopko Plaza. I'll be doing a book signing from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
And there's the phone number at the bottom of the screen. That's Book World's number, 355-1193. And you can meet Sean Crusher Crossen. You going to throw anybody through a table or anything?
No, not going to do that. We're going to have a little documentary running, though, to help explain the story, but that will be the most of what we'll see of Crusher Crossen.
All right.
Okay. Can you throw Wendy through the table? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey!
I'm
I
kidding.
was going to ask him for an autograph for you, but no, no more.
All right. It was a pleasure, Sean. Appreciate you coming down here.
Thanks a
and
lot.
good luck to you. Read the book, all right? And we'll recap your top stories coming up.
Be right back.
Tom, I wore that new skirt that you got me